I caught my husband with his young secretary. And that was only the beginning. I never thought I would be the kind of woman who tells a story like this. But life has a strange way of revealing the truth when you least expect it. It was a normal Thursday evening. The sky was turning orange, and I was driving home early from work, something I rarely did. I remember thinking, maybe I'll surprise him. Maybe we'll finally have dinner together like we used to. We hadn't been the same lately. Late nights, short conversations, that distant look in his eyes, like he was somewhere else, even when he was sitting right next to me. But I ignored it, because sometimes love makes you blind. As I pulled into the driveway, something felt off. His car was there, but so was another one. A sleek, unfamiliar car I had never seen before. My heart didn't race at first. It just paused. I walked to the front door quietly, my heels barely making a sound. The house was too quiet. And yet, not quiet enough. There were voices, soft, almost laughing. That's when my chest tightened. I stepped inside, slowly, carefully, like I already knew, but didn't want to believe it. And then I saw them in the living room, close, too close. My husband, the man I built my life with, standing there with his young secretary. She looked shocked. He looked frozen. And me? I felt nothing. Not anger, not tears, just a deep, heavy silence inside me. "Since when?" I asked. My voice didn't even sound like mine. He tried to speak, stumbled over his words, excuses, explanations, things that didn't matter anymore, because in that one moment, everything I had ignored finally made sense. The late nights, the missed calls, the emotional distance. It all led here. She grabbed her purse and rushed out, didn't even look back. And him? He just stood there, like a stranger in my home. "I was going to tell you," he said, but I stopped him. "No," I said quietly. "You were going to keep lying." Silence filled the room again, but this time, it wasn't painful. It was clear. That night, I didn't scream. I didn't cry in front of him. I just walked upstairs, packed a bag, and left. Because sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away from the life you thought you had and choose yourself instead. I drove for hours that night. No destination, no plan, just distance. The city lights blurred through my tears as memories replayed in my mind like a movie I never wanted to watch again. Our wedding day, his promises, the way he used to look at me, like I was everything. And now, I was nothing more than a chapter he was ready to replace. I ended up at a small motel on the edge of town, the kind of place you don't ask questions, and no one asks you anything either. That night, I finally broke. Not because he cheated, but because I realized I had been losing him long before I caught him. The next morning, my phone was filled with missed calls. Him, again and again. Messages like, "Please come back. We need to talk. It's not what you think." I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I turned the phone off, because for the first time, I didn't need his explanation. I needed my peace. Days turned into a week. I stayed with a friend after leaving the motel. She didn't ask too many questions, just gave me space to breathe. And slowly, reality settled in. This wasn't just betrayal. This was the end of a marriage. A week later, I went back to the house, not as a wife, but as someone ready to close a chapter. He was sitting in the living room, the same place where everything fell apart. He looked tired, broken even, but I didn't feel sorry. Not anymore. "I made a mistake," he said as soon as he saw me. I nodded. "Yes," I replied calmly. "You did." He stepped closer. I love you. It didn't mean anything. I looked straight into his eyes. That's the problem, I said. If it meant nothing, why was I worth so little? He had no answer, and that silence said everything. The process wasn't easy. Lawyers, papers, conversations that felt colder than strangers. We divided everything: the house, the memories, the life we built together. But there was one thing I refused to divide: my self respect. The day I signed the divorce papers, my hands didn't shake, my heart didn't break, because it had already healed in a way I never expected. The judge looked at me, asked if I was sure, and for the first time in a long time, I was. Yes, I said. Just one word, but it carried everything: pain, strength, freedom. Months later, my life looked different, quieter, simpler, but real. I found a small apartment, started rebuilding everything, piece by piece. And somewhere along the way, I found myself again. Not the woman who ignored the signs, not the woman who stayed silent, but someone stronger,